and would like Northwest to stay in touch with you, please fill out the visitor this is not something we want to do. So if you've not already pledged, please consider doing so. If your budget has room to pledge more, please consider that as well. Northwest is in a rebuilding stage. We're optimistic about things on the horizon. Let's get through the rough patch together. On Tuesday, May 14th at 6 p.m., Ilan Pappé, a prominent Israeli scholar and who's featured frequently on Democracy Now! And other news organizations, will be giving a lecture on the history of the Israel-Palestine conflict. This will be at UU Detroit. Pappé was born and educated in Israel and has written many books on the history of the region. The event is free and childcare is provided. We hope to see you there. Next, today is the last day to donate for the 2024 Northwest UU Garage Rummage Sale. Please contact Sally Young to make your donation today. And she's, I think, still in the back, in the meeting multipurpose room with our little pop-up sale. Volunteers and shoppers are needed for the big sale on May 17th and 18th. And finally, just to make sure you're aware, on May 12th, Sunday, May 12th service will be at First UU Church in Detroit. And I guess it won't be just a joint, two-church service. I found out the Farmington UU Church will be there as well, so 3 churches in one. So before we begin the prelude, let's all take a deep breath and settle into a time of worship.
Good morning, everyone. I'm sorry that I am not able to be with you in person today. I'm having a bit of an issue with an eye infection and I didn't want to share. So I'm here at home, and it's wonderful to see everyone. I think Tom was going to do are we doing the land acknowledgement before the chalice lighting? This is hard. I forgot how hard this was to do on Zoom.
That's how it's listed in the order of service.
Okay. Let me get to it. Each week, we offer a land acknowledgement. We honor and pay our respects to the land on which we live, work, which was violently stolen through colonialism, genocide, and forced removal of its traditional stewards. These stewards are the Anishinaabeg, Council of the Three Fires, which include the Ottawa, Ojibwe, and Potawatomi, also known as the Ottawa, Chippewa, and Potawatomi tribes. We also acknowledge the people of African descent who were forcibly removed from their land and separated from their families through kidnapping and enslavement, and pay reverence and respect to them for building this country's infrastructure and economy with no compensation or reparations to date.
The flaming chalice is a symbol of our faith. We light it this morning, knowing that many other Unitarian Universalist congregations across this land and around the world are doing the same. We light our chalice with words from Northwest UU's mission statement. So please repeat after me. We light this flame to grow in spirit, knowledge, and action. Accept and challenge one another to support each other in times of joy and need. So now you're invited to rise in body or spirit and join in singing hymn number 1023, which is in the smaller book, Building Bridges, Dear Friends.
Building bridges between our divisions, I reach out to you, will you reach out to me? With all of our voices and all of our visions, friends, we could make such sweet harmony. Building bridges between our divisions, I reach out to bridges between our divisions. I reach out to voices between our divisions. I reach out to voices between our divisions. I reach out to voices between our divisions. With all of our voices and all of our visions, friends, we could make such sweet harmony. Friends, we could make such sweet harmony.
Our Story for All Ages, Carl and the Meaning of Life by Deborah Freeman. Carl was not a bird. Carl was not a bear or a beaver. Carl was an earthworm. He lived underground, moving, always moving, burrowing, tunneling, digesting dead leaves, feasting and casting, turning hard dirt into fluffy soil day after day. Why? Asked the field mouse, gathering seeds. Why do you do that? Why? Carl did not know why, but now he needed to find out. So Carl stopped making fluffy soil. I'll be right back, he told the field mouse. He spotted a rabbit. Maybe she knew. Why do I do what I do? He asked her. Oh, goodness dear, I do not know. I do what I do for my babies. But Carl did not have babies. A fox appeared. Carl turned to the fox. Why do I do what I do? Who do I do it for? For whom? Replied the fox. Alas, my meal awaits. I am here for the hunt. But Carl did not want to hunt. Why are you talking to a fox? Cried a squirrel. Carl was startled. Because the field mouse is waiting and wants to know what I am here for. The squirrel declared, I'm here to plant trees. Trees are where I sleep. But Carl could not sleep, not high in a tree, and not without an answer for the mouse. He pushed on and on. Hours turned into days until the soil was no longer fluffy. The ground around Carl turned barren and dry while he continued to search. What? Who? Why? And then he gives a big sigh. It's getting dark. But the birds had flown off to find grasses and fluff. The bear trundled away to look for berries. Soon there was nobody left to talk to. What about me? Said Carl. The clouds were silent. So was the air. I will never find out, he sniffled. And then Carl heard his sniffle echo, followed by a squeak. I can't find any grubs, a voice cried. It was the saddest ground beetle he had ever seen. Carl peeked under a stone. No grubs. Then he poked at the dirt. It was hard like a rock. Where was his fluffy soil? Suddenly, Carl knew what he needed to do. I'll be back, he promised. For hours into days, weeks into months, Carl munched, digested, left castings, and tunneled, and turned that hard dirt back into rich soil. You made my seeds grow, said the mouse. Clover blossomed once again, and Rabbit came back with her kits. The squirrel returned to plant new trees. The fox was lured by the hunt, all of them able to do what they do. How? Well, why not ask Carl? And now, the children are going to go to their classrooms and they're going to carry the flame with them. And this kid is going to carry our flame for us, and we're going to sing them out. So we're going to light this from the house.
May your mind be open to new learning. May your lips bring truth into the world. May your heart know love and your hands do the work of justice as you go your way in peace. As you go your way in peace.
Northwest UU shares its plate contribution with a community partner. This month, that partner is Michigan Liberation. Michigan Liberation is a statewide network of people and organizations organizing to end the criminalization of Black families and communities of color in Michigan. We envision a state without mass incarceration, mass policing, and punishment. We envision a state with the best public education in the nation, single-payer healthcare, and thriving Black and brown communities. All designated donations will be split between Michigan Liberation and our congregation. You can give in a variety of ways that are now visible on your screen. For those of you here in person, we will pass a collection plate basket for checks and cash. We honor your generosity by committing to ensure that our collective resources do greater good for ourselves and our world than any could have done individually. Thank you, Jerry. Thank you for your contributions. And now here's Dave Young.
I love that piece. It's great. My name's Dave Young. I'm a member of the Northwest Pastoral Care Committee, and I want to remind you that anyone needing the support of our community can reach out to our Minister of Pastoral Care, Reverend Teresa Rowlett, in the weekly drop-in Zoom room or in the one-on-one appointment by emailing her at pastoralcare@northwestuu.org. For the next few months, the collective cares of our community will be recorded in our Book of Joys and Sorrows, which will remain on the red cabinet near the name tags. I'll read the joys and sorrows written in the book today, and we will respond to each by saying, "You are held in love." When I announce your name, please raise your hand. Note that we will have the virtual form available soon for those attending on Zoom. Okay, first, Nancy Landon wrote, "My joy is for the women's support group that is growing here at Northwest. It was started by Carol Katz on Thursdays at 2 p.m. It has been a wonderful gathering for me and others. Any woman who needs some support, I encourage you to check it out." That's right. Good job. You were listening. You are held in love. Okay. Beata Lemparski writes. Okay, where's Beata? She's out working. "I am so happy that Stephanie Patel invited me to go birding with her on Wednesdays in Oakland Township. It is a joy to see new birds." You are held in love. All together now. Good. Okay. Martha Spear writes a joy. "Wishing Bob Holly an early happy birthday. He enters a significant decade this Wednesday. After 40 plus years, he remains my confidant, lover, and best friend. You are held in love." Finally, Joanne Cantoni writes a joy. This is great, all joys. "My sister will be in town this week. I don't get to see her very much, so it's a real joy. You are held in love." Okay, that's it. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Dave. For those joys that were read out loud today, and for all the joys and sorrows that are held in the silent sanctuaries of our hearts, I offer this prayer. Sources of radiance and resilience, keep watch with those who work or watch or weep this night. May the suffering be soothed. May the sick be tended. May the weary find rest. May the dying and those who love them find peace. May the joyous be shielded. May all of us know that we are surrounded in a love that is with us always, a web that connects us to all that exists. May we take a few moments in silence to be with each other in this sacred space. We will come out singing.
Spirit of love, come unto me. Sing in my heart all the streams of
Breathe with me. Breathe a cloud of breath, artistically photographed. Breathe with me. Breathe a breath of life. Inhale, inspire, inspiration. Spiritus, the Holy Spirit, Rao, Munya, the many names of breath. Breathe with me. Know that with each breath, we take in molecules of air that were breathed by every person that has ever lived. Breathe with me and breathe the breath of Jesus and Moses, of Mohammed and the Buddha. Breathe with me and know that we are all interdependent, that the spirit of life flows through us all. Breathe with me as we come together to do the holy work of interconnection and relationship, that our work here may be blessed. Breathe all together. You are now invited to join in with our talented musicians as they lead us through something that is not in the hymnal, but it is something called We Are a Circle. I can't help but notice that the theme of the month is interdependence. And today the minister woke up and couldn't come to church. And she is still being brought to you by all of these interconnected fiber optic cables. I really don't know how it works. And, something that seems to me like just magic in the air, bringing me to you via whatever it is that brings the internet to us, and that there's someone there, Susie and Michael, to receive it and project it out to you. And that even though I'm not here and we don't have a specific pianist for the day, our community is showing up and providing beautiful music. It all just seems so relevant and precious to me. So I thank you so much for allowing me to be here with you via Zoom in my current condition. So when I was 7 years old, I had an assignment in Sunday school, draw a picture of God. Having grown up Unitarian Universalist, it didn't even occur to me to draw a picture of a man with a beard in the clouds, armed with ego and lightning, and deciding both the state of our immortal souls and the outcome of the Sunday football game. That wasn't an image of God that I'd ever had. Instead, I drew a swirl, with tendrils that reached out and touched everything. My swirl had yellow bursts shooting out from it because I always thought that yellow was the happiest color. My swirl was woven like a web, sturdy enough to hold and flexible enough to yield. It had definite substance, but it also had gaps, room to fill in what was needed. I am now 40 years old with a master's degree in theology, and I still don't know that I have ever created something that represents my understanding of God better than that swirl. Which is why, when a member of the church asked me what I had drawn, I proudly presented it to him and told him that I had created God. To which he said, "You, little one, are too smart to believe in God." I was shaken. Was God something one could simply choose not to believe in? It said right there in the first sources of Unitarian Universalism, direct experience of a transcending mystery and wonder affirmed in all cultures. Affirmed in all cultures. Could all human cultures that ever existed be wrong? Now, at this point, I should say that I'm relating to you all the thoughts that have occurred to me since replaying that episode in my mind, because I am sure that I was not thinking about the first source of Unitarian Universalism when I was 7 years old. But see, back then, I had been in a Sunday school class that had talked about people who thought God was a turtle, or a many-armed being with the head of an elephant, or a burning bush. The stone carving above the entrance to the sanctuary that I grew up in says, "God is love." It really wasn't until that day that I learned that God was a political figure. The man who told me I was too smart to believe in God painted me a picture of a fake being who ruled by fear and used judgment to control people. Mystery and transcendence were not his deal. Obedience and punishment were. And just like that, an atheist taught me to fear God. And he wasn't wrong. As I grew up, I learned that the God that he spoke of was the most prevalent version you could come by in the United States. I don't blame folks who don't want to believe in him. And it's always a him. But in the back of my mind, I still had this image of a swirl. I kept that image all through seminary as I tried to figure out how I was going to talk to people about life, the universe, and what was ultimately important when I didn't know what to think about it myself. I knew what I didn't believe in, and I kind of knew what I wanted to believe in, but how could I? I didn't want to be the girl that wasn't smart enough to know not to believe in God. And then in my third year of seminary, I took this class called Process Theology. And my teacher, she was weird. All of our class texts were books of poetry that seemed to have nothing that contained to the relevant main subject of the course. And also an old tome by this guy called Alfred North Whitehead, whose writing was so dense and obscure, I felt like I was reading Darwin again. Unfamiliar names for ordinary, everyday things. For instance, with Darwin, the goldfinch was a spinus tristis. And in process theology, I'm not a human. I'm a nexus, or a group of actual entities among which the relation of prehension holds. Yeah, it was like 500 pages of that. And we were given these bizarre assignments of going home and reading that, or laying in the grass while it rained and allowing ourselves to get completely soaked, to just feel the feeling of rain falling on our bodies. 3 master's level credits I got for this course. And for weeks on end, we'd come to class to listen to music or describe our favorite flavor of ice cream, or show up to a sign that said class was canceled, but we were assigned to go for a walk in silence with another classmate. This was my last semester of seminary, so as long as I got credit, I didn't really care. But one of the first years, who was still trying to shape their experience of seminary, finally broke and asked what the heck we were doing in this class. And the professor just smiled and said, experiencing. And then she gave her first real lecture. You see, according to process theology, something happened once. Matter forms, or energy, or a thought, divine intention, whatever it was, there was this first thing. And then because that one thing happened, it caused other things to happen. Matter expanded, energy transferred, creation continued. And everything that has ever happened relates back to that first thing, like points of light in one big quantum entanglement. And everything that will ever happen is informed by and connected to this. And can I call it the interdependent web of all existence? In other words, some adults 100 years ago sat around and independently thought up my swirl. They said the universe was in process, always changing, always moving, and that God was the container for the process, or maybe was the process. Everything in the universe is connected, and God is whatever it is that connects us. And as I'm absolutely digging this lecture, I realize that I'm taking this class at a school that is denominationally United Church of Christ, Methodist, and Disciples. So while I'm finally getting some theory behind what I've always understood God to be, they were trying to fit their concept of God into a framework that was utterly dismantling it. To them, God was an entity, an anthropomorphic being with sentience similar to their own. They were, after all, created in His, and it was always His, image. And suddenly, I had more compassion for Darwin than I did when I was assigned to read The Origin of Species in college. See, Darwin couldn't write about a goldfinch because he wasn't writing about the bird we see today. He was writing about the process that creature took to get to be what we see as a goldfinch today. So he had to use the Latin term that paid homage to the genus and the species of the bird. In other words, he traced the bird's existence back to the kingdom, phylum, class, order, and family from which it came. Shout out to my 6th grade science teacher, Mrs. Seymour, for me not having to look that up. In the same vein, Whitehead couldn't just talk about a person, because what is a person? Is a person the atoms that make them up? If so, how do you account for the fact that the atoms in our bodies are at least 13 billion years old? Did a person exist in many forms when those same atoms were scattered and used by different entities before that person existed? Is a person their consciousness? If so, does someone stop being a person if they undergo anesthesia or end up in a coma? Is a person their memories, their experiences, their relationships? If so, how do we answer for the fact that right now and every moment of our lives, we are creating new memories and experiencing new things and changing the way that we relate to each other because of new experiences and learnings? Whitehead would tell us that the answer is yes. A person is all of those things, which is why the category of person is something that, as something that exists over time, is insufficient. What he was interested in was called a nexus, which is a group of relationships that exist at a moment of time. You are not the same entity that walked in here today, and you are not the same one that will leave. You, at any moment of time, are a combination of all of the things that have happened to you, all of the things that you've learned, your ideas, your hopes, and the significant role you play in other people's lives. You are always learning, always growing, always changing. In a way, Whitehead sort of reinvented the concept of Buddhist impermanence, but he also made it relational. You aren't just changing, you are being changed, and you are changing others. Your evolution isn't one of voluntary individual enlightenment, but a semi-voluntary evolution as a result of an existence based in relationships, relationships that take place both within and outside ourselves. We are points of light in a quantum entanglement, and everything that has ever happened has led up to us being exactly where we are. And everything we do will affect everything that is ever to come. And look, I know that sounds like a lot of responsibility, but you and I, we are so infinitesimally small that while it's true our existence will affect things, we are barely a blip on the cosmic radar. Think of it this way. If the entire history of the planet took place in a 24-hour period of time, modern human beings would show up 2 seconds before midnight. That's right, a whole day, and our species has only been around for 2 seconds, which means your lifetime, mine, maybe a millisecond. And that's one planet in a possibly infinite universe, in what is potentially an infinite amount of universes. So like nothing, and I mean nothing you can do could possibly mess things up that bad. On the other hand, that vast universe, this vast universe, it's made up of an unfathomable amount of smaller things. And it wouldn't be what it is without each of them. The universe isn't much more than a series of relationships. And as such, it couldn't exist in its current form without you. Yeah, you, just as you are. So when Unitarian Universalists say, as part of our first principle, that human beings have inherent worth, I think that's what they mean. You are the sum of a trillion relational things converging to create the momentous and miraculous entity sitting in that chair right now. And no matter what you do or achieve or believe, that means something. And when the Unitarian Universalists say, as part of our seventh principle, that we are part of an interdependent web of all existence, it feels reductive to restrict that web to the cycles of life on this one lonely planet. Looking back, I get why my atheist friend wanted to warn 7-year-old me off a concept of God that is clearly coinciding with policing and shaming our earthbound bodies. But I grew up Unitarian Universalist, so my God was never so small as that. I know that the word God carries a lot of baggage, so it isn't even important that we use that specific word. I'm using it here because it's a shorthand. It's easy for me to do. But in reality, no word could ever describe something too large to hold in our imaginations. And no name could accurately convey something too complicated to describe. It's not important that we use any specific language. But what is important is that we don't, in our rejection of a harmful and outdated theology, also throw out the relational nature of the universe. I wholeheartedly reject the idea that we are individual beings striving alone to create purpose in a finite and ultimately meaningless life. We are not the top of the spiritual food chain, and everything that in this impossibly large universe cannot be held within the bounds of human rationality. We are an impossibly small, absolutely necessary blip in a beautifully messy confluence of atoms, energy, and imagination, blessed to have some of the stuff of the universe flow through us. We are not in control, nor are we insignificant. We just are. So we don't really have to worry about the outcome that much. And we exist, which means more than we can possibly ever understand. So may we take walks in the rain, and may we ourselves rain down random acts of kindness. May we smile at strangers and take care of our neighbors and treat ourselves to a bevy of experiences including experiencing that transcending mystery and wonder. Because here's the thing, I don't know how it all works, but I have to imagine that adding more joy and care and wonder into that big cosmic quantum entanglement is the highest form of praise and prayer our little blips can manage. You are invited now to, well, I don't know if we want to rise in body or spirit because Julie's going to have us do some body percussion. So Julie, take it away.
Let's stay seated. So this is going to be a little different than the usual hymn. We're going to sing Lean on Me. The words will be up on the screen. But we are going to be little rhythmic blips that make a big bang together. So I'm going to have this half of the room do like this. Lap, and then clap. So lap, clap, lap. Oh, you're so good. All right, this half of the room is going to do a lap stomp. Now this is carpet, so we really got to stomp. Give it a good country stomp. Like, can we try it? Lap, stomp, lap, stomp. Sounds great. Now, we're you-use, so if you have any other body rhythms you want to throw in to be yourself and express yourself, go for it. And I'm thinking if any of us are snappers, which means you feel comfortable and enjoy snapping, but also you get a sound when you do this, you could replace your laps with a snap. Zoomers, you can do whatever you want. Oh, and one more note. If you get it wrong, if the rhythm is wrong, if you can't keep the pattern up, I'm going to borrow Reverend Julie's words, and those are, nothing you could do could possibly be so bad. Just keep going. All right, so are we ready? I'll start just jumping. I'm going to do the lap and the stomp because that's all I can do with the mic in my hand. All right, we need the words up. Can we start with sometimes? I guess we can't. All right, we're going to start with the chorus. Here we, oh, no. And after that, we're just going to sing, here we go. Some time in our lives, we all have pain. We all have sorrow. But if we are wise, we know that there's always tomorrow. Lean on me when you're not strong, and I'll be your friend. I'll help you carry on, for it won't be long till I'm gonna need somebody to lean on. Oh. I don't know what was coming. You need a hand. We all need somebody to lean on. I just might have a problem that you understand. We all need somebody to lean on. Please swallow your pride. If I have things you need to borrow, for no one can fill those of your needs that you won't let show. Lean on me when you're not strong, and I'll be your friend. I'll help you carry on, for it won't be long till I'm gonna need somebody to lean on. Nice work, everybody.
Thank you, Julie, Jerry, and all the other people doing the music. We will now extinguish our challenge, so please repeat after me. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of hope. The warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.
We are all connected. We are all connected. So you don't know what small little actions are going to affect people. Maybe you smile at a stranger in an airport who's terrified of flying, but that gives them the little bit of encouragement they need to get on a flight to make it to something really, really important. Maybe somebody is having a terrible, terrible day, and you just giving them a word of encouragement reminds them that they are important to people around them in ways that are significant and larger than anything that you could actually say. We are all connected. And so it matters what we do with each other and how we help each other. We are all connected in ways that are bigger than we can possibly know. And nothing we can do can mess anything up that much. So go out and try things and experience things and continue to live in the mystery and wonder and transcendence of this gorgeous life. Blessed be and amen. Go in peace, return in love.